Ask an AI anything and watch closely. First, a pause. Then the words arrive, one at a time. The pause and the typing are two different programs. One of them lights up the most expensive chip on Earth. The other one wastes it. And your bill has known the difference all along.
On the map, loading is done. That was last episode. Today we are inside the next two boxes: prefill, the pause, and decode, the typing. One request to start to finish. By the end of this episode, you will be able to watch any AI respond and narrate exactly what the hardware is doing, second by second.
The pause is the model reading your prompt. And here's the thing nobody tells you. It reads everything at once, not word by word the way you wrote it, all of it in parallel. Every token of your prompt flows through the model together as one batch of giant matrix multiplications. A 1,000-token prompt does not take 1,000 steps, it takes one wide pass. It is worth being exact about what one wide pass means, because it is where the speed comes from. Inside each layer, your prompt is not 1,000 separate operations queued up. It is one matrix, 1,000 rows tall, multiplied against that layer's weights in a single shot. That is the shape this hardware was built for. Enormous, regular, dense multiplication. No branching, nothing waiting on anything else. 1,000 tokens and a single token cost the chip almost the same number of trips out to memory, and the 1,000-token version simply does far more useful arithmetic on each trip, which is why the pause you notice grows so gently with prompt length, right up until the point where it stops being gentle. This phase is called prefill, and it is the GPU's favorite kind of work: massive, parallel, predictable. Tens of thousands of cores, all fed at once. The chip runs hot, pure computation. The length of the pause you feel is the prefill finishing, and engineers have a name for it: time to first token. Remember that number. Entire architectures exist to protect it, and later in this episode you will see it start to creep upward on its own. So reading is a sprint the chip loves. Then the model has to write, and writing has a rule that reading does not.
Here is the rule. The next word depends on the last one. When the model writes, it chooses one token, then feeds that token back into itself to choose the next. Token 2 cannot begin until token 1 exists. There is no reading ahead because the future has not been written yet. That is the whole reason AI types, not an animation, not a design choice, a dependency chain. The model literally cannot produce word 50 before word 49. So decode, the writing phase, is serial, one token per full pass through the model. Your 500-token answer is 500 round trips. Hold on though, one thing in that loop went by too fast. I said the model chooses a token. Chooses how?
Every round trip through the model ends the same way, with a scoreboard. The model does not output a word, it outputs a score for every single token in its vocabulary. Tens of thousands of candidates, each with a number saying how well it would fit next. That whole list, every trip, every token. Turning that scoreboard into one chosen token is called sampling. Always pick the top score and the text comes out rigid and repetitive. Add a little controlled randomness and it comes out natural. The dial that controls how much randomness is temperature, and I made a full episode on that dial and its cousins, card on screen. Two more dials sit next to that one, and both work the same way. They trim the list before the choice is made. Top K keeps only the K highest scoring candidates and throws everything else away. Top P, often called nucleus sampling, keeps however many candidates it takes to cover a set share of the probability, so a confident step keeps a handful, and an uncertain one keeps hundreds. Both exist for the same reason. The long tail of that vocabulary holds tens of thousands of tokens that are each absurd but collectively probable, and without trimming, a long enough answer will eventually reach into the tail and say something strange. A third dial, the repetition penalty, lowers the score of tokens that have already appeared, which is the difference between a model that sounds fluent and one that repeats itself forever. And notice what none of them change. The scoreboard still has to be computed in full for every token in the vocabulary before any trimming happens at all. The choice is cheap. The scoreboard is not. For today, the point is the shape of the loop. Compute the scoreboard, choose one token, append it, go again. That is decode, a scoreboard and a choice, 500 times. And knowing the shape, you can now ask the performance question that actually matters. What makes each round trip slow?
First, the trick that keeps 500 round trips from being 500 disasters. Naively, every new token would mean rereading the entire conversation so far. Token 500 would reprocess all 499 before it. The work would grow with the square of the length, and long answers would grind to a halt. The trick is that the model keeps notes. Here is what is actually in them. Inside the model, every token gets converted into the pieces the attention mechanism needs. A key, roughly, here is what I am about, and a value, roughly, here is what I contribute. And this happens at every single layer of the model, dozens of layers deep. Once computed for a token, those keys and values never change, so the model saves them. That saved pile, every token's keys and values across every layer, is the KV cache. When the next token arrives, it computes its own keys and values, glances across everything already in the cache, and adds one new entry. Nothing old is ever recomputed, which means the cache grows by exactly one entry per token, perfectly linear. And each entry is not small. Across all those layers, one token's notes cost real memory, on the order of a few hundred kilobytes for a large model. Do the multiplication on screen. At that rate, a long conversation is carrying gigabytes of notes. Remember from last episode that the weights already claimed most of the GPU. The luggage and the passenger are now competing for the same shelf. So hold both facts. The cache is why decode steps are small and fast. The past is cached, not recomputed. And the cache is why long contexts are expensive. The notes never shrink, they only grow. Speed bought with memory. I made a full mechanical episode on this trade, card on screen, which makes the next fact genuinely strange. Even with the cache, even with tiny steps, the most expensive chip on the planet still crawls through decode. And the reason is not computation at all.
Here is the number that explains the entire typing speed of AI. To produce one token, one round trip, the chip must read the model's weights, all of them. A 70 billion parameter model at standard precision is roughly 140 gigabytes. Every token, 140 gigabytes, read from memory. Again. Now the division. A top GPU moves memory at a few terabytes per second. Divide the memory speed by the model size and you get the ceiling, a few dozen tokens per second. For one user, that is the law, not the compute, the memory. Watch the utilization bars during decode. Compute, a flicker. Waiting on memory, nearly everything. The most expensive processor on the planet spends the typing phase as a very fast reader stuck with a very heavy book, turning pages while its calculator sits idle. That is why decode is called memory-bound and prefill is called compute-bound. And the other half of that sentence deserves the same arithmetic. Prefill is compute-bound, and the same two numbers show you why. Processing 1,000 prompt tokens means the chip does roughly 1,000 times more arithmetic than a single decode step does, but it still reads the weights exactly once for the whole batch. The work goes up, the reading does not. That ratio, arithmetic performed per byte read from memory, is what decides which ceiling you hit. Prefill has a high ratio, so it runs until the math units are saturated and the memory bus has capacity to spare. Decode has the worst ratio possible, one token of arithmetic for an entire model dragged out of memory, so it runs until the bus is saturated and the math units sit idle. Same silicon, same weights, two completely different limits, and the only thing that changed between them was how many tokens you handed the chip at once. Hold on to that last clause, because it is the door to everything that comes after this episode. Same chip, same model, two opposite bottlenecks. And that single sentence,
One request has two opposite bottlenecks is the seed of everything in the rest of this series.
And you can see all of this from the outside with no instruments except a clock. Same model, two requests. First, a giant pasted document, one-line answer. Watch, long pause, then instant text, nearly all prefill. Second, a one-line question, essay-length answer. No pause at all, then a long, steady typewriter, nearly all decode. The pause scales with what you paste in. The typing scales with what you ask for. Two programs, and now you can tell them apart from your chair on any AI product forever.
By now, the rule should feel absolute. The next token depends on the last one. Writing is serial. End of story. So here is the loophole, and it is one of the cleverest ideas in modern AI. What if a much smaller, much faster model writes a rough draft a few tokens ahead, and the big model checks the whole draft in a single parallel pass? Checking, it turns out, is exactly the kind of work the big model is great at. Verifying 5 proposed tokens at once looks just like prefill. Parallel, wide, one sweep. If the draft tokens match what the big model would have chosen, they are accepted. 5 tokens for the price of about 1 round trip. The first wrong one and everything after it gets thrown away, and the big model resumes from there. This is speculative decoding. The dependency rule is not broken. Every accepted token is still exactly the big model's choice, provably. The rule is just paid for in bulk. On easy stretches of text, the draft model nails whole phrases, and the typing visibly leaps. On hard stretches, it misses, and you fall back to normal speed. Which raises the obvious question: how often does the draft actually get it right? That number has a name, the acceptance rate, and it decides whether any of this is worth doing. It turns on 2 things: how closely the small model matches the big one, and how predictable the text is. But draft model trained in the same family as its target agrees with it far more often than a stranger would. And easy text gets accepted in long runs. Boilerplate, code with obvious structure, the second half of a common phrase. Genuinely uncertain text does not. So the speedup is real, but it is not a constant. And any figure you see quoted for it is really a claim about one particular pair of models on one particular kind of writing. There is a cost when it goes wrong, too. The draft tokens that get thrown away were still generated, and that work is simply wasted. Propose too many tokens at once, and you spend more on rejected drafts than you save on accepted ones, which is why how far ahead the draft runs is itself a tuned number. A small model sprinting ahead, a large model auditing in bulk. Remember that shape. The industry found it so useful that this series will keep running into it. I have a full video on it, card on screen.
Now, a mystery you have personally lived. Why does a long conversation feel heavier than a fresh one? Because of a fact almost nobody tells you. The model has no memory between messages. Every time you hit send, the entire conversation, every message from both of you gets sent again and read again. Turn 50 does not continue from turn 49. It rereads all 49. And rereading is prefill. So as the conversation grows, the prefill grows with it, and that time to first token number from chapter 1 starts to creep. The pause you barely noticed on message 3 becomes the pause you definitely notice on message 60. That is loop C from the beginning of this episode, closed. TTFT creeps because history compounds. The cache from chapter 4 is the rescue, when the server keeps it. If your previous turn's notes are still sitting in memory, the reread is nearly free. If they were evicted to make room for other users, the full price comes back. And this rescue has one strict rule worth tattooing somewhere. The cache only matches an exact prefix. The notes for token 500 were computed in the context of every token before it. Change one word near the top of your prompt, and every cached note after that word is invalid. The match runs from the first token forward and dies at the first difference, which hands you a genuinely practical superpower. Structure your prompts stable first. The system prompt, the instructions, the reference documents, all the parts that never change go at the top. The part that varies, the user's actual question, goes last. Do that and the giant stable prefix caches once and gets reused nearly free on every call. Put a timestamp at the top of your prompt and you just torched the entire cache, every single request. This one ordering habit is why providers sell prompt caching at a steep discount, and there is a whole episode later on caching as a product. For today, exact prefix, stable first, variable last.
Time to close the loop from the very first line of this episode. Open any AI provider's pricing page. Input tokens, one price. Output tokens, several times more. On the major APIs, output commonly costs around 5 times input. Same model, same tokens, but you now know they are 2 different programs. Input tokens are prefill, bulk, parallel, the chip's favorite work. Output tokens are decode, serial round trips, each one dragging the whole model through memory, each one occupying the machine. Reading is wholesale, writing is retail. Why roughly 5 and not 2 or 10? That exact number has a deeper hardware story, and this series closes it in the economics finale. Deferred, on purpose, on screen. But the asymmetry already explains the products around you. Summarization, huge input and small output, is cheap. Generation, small input and huge output, is expensive. Agents read and write constantly, so they are both. And one more consequence, very current. Reasoning models, the ones that think before answering, every thinking token is a generated token. Decode work, output priced. When a model burns 2,000 tokens reasoning its way to a 3-line answer, you wait through 2,000 round trips, and on most APIs, you pay for them like output. The thinking is not free. The thinking is the expensive program, running longer.
Once you see the 2 programs, the entire industry reorganizes itself in front of you into attempts to fix one or the other. Decode wastes the chip on a single user, then run many users' decodes at once, so each sweep of the weights serves everyone aboard. That is batching, the heart of the next episode. Prefill blocks the line. One user pasting a book can freeze time to first token for everyone behind them, so modern schedulers chop big prefills into chunks and interleave them between other people's decode steps. And at the frontier, the 2 programs get divorced entirely. Prefill runs on one cluster, decode on another, and the cache nodes get shifted between them mid-request. Different bottlenecks, so eventually different machines. It sounds insane, and it is in this series too. And all 3 of those fixes have the same shape underneath. Each one looks at a request and refuses to treat it as a single indivisible lump. Batching splits it across users. Chunked prefill splits it across time. Disaggregation splits it across machines. Once you stop believing that one request is one job, the scheduler gets choices it never had before, and at scale, every one of those choices is worth real money. 3 fixes, 3 episodes, 1 insight. Stop treating one request as one kind of work.
The map. One more time. Loading. Done. Prefill and decode. Now solid, and deeper than most working engineers ever go. One request. Fully understood. A parallel sprint to read you. A scoreboard and a choice. A cache holding the past. A memory ceiling setting the speed. A loophole that pays for tokens in bulk. And a price tag that knew the whole story from the start. Everything today was one user on one chip. The real world is 10,000 users on one chip, and nobody waits in line. That machine is the next episode. And its best idea was stolen from a 1970s operating systems textbook. The pause and the typing. Now you can narrate them.